When Jesus says, I am the truth, there's a great witness there, both in the way that God has been revealed in spirit throughout the ages, and also a foretaste of what is to come as we hear of the Spirit of truth, of life, breaking in over the disciples, proclaiming a new way of being in which they cannot help but go out and share this witness to a hurting world. Jesus is staking this promise in the community, that they might know a truth that liberates, that challenges and equips them in their living. Jesus invites them into life. The promise of life, saying, I am the life. This is the life from ages into ages. Everlasting life that does not know boundaries. It liberates God even from our time constraints. We often think of the 3 dimensions or even the 4th dimension. All of a sudden, Jesus is saying that God is the God of all time, of all places, and inviting us to dwell richly in that life that transcends all boundaries. Jesus is staking a claim for the disciples, that they might know these promises here and now and into the days to come, as he goes on his way. Now that doesn't immediately settle the disciples. And generally, it doesn't settle us. We still struggle, even when we hear the promises of believing that they are for us, that they will get us from one day to the next. And it is precisely there that Jesus says that there is a dwelling place. There is a promise for us in which all will know the holy. All will richly be blessed by this one who has come among us, by this one who claims a new way of being, who creates a space for us. That there is, the old phraseology was a mansion with many rooms. There was a dwelling place with many rooms, where we have a space in which into the ages of ages we will dwell and we will know the Most High. A rich and wonderful promise. And it is precisely here that I believe we are invited to think about those holy places for us. How has God touched our lives and allowed us to dwell in a holy space? You see, when I was a youngster, from our house out to the back pasture, there was a cow path. And when I would get really mad or sad, or find myself frustrated with parents, or when my grandfather passed away, I would traipse on that cow path out to the back pasture. And there in that space, there was a little pond, most often inhabited by geese or ducks, oftentimes with birds flying around, and the cattle off in the distance. Occasionally, there would be a deer or a fox that would run through. And as a youth, I would go and just sit there. Somehow I knew that in that space, for me, the holy was made real. It was my own special, magical, wonderful room in which God drew me out of my trouble. My mom used to love that I would go to that space. She tells me still today that when I came back an hour and a half later, I would be in such a better mood. But it allowed me that place to let life wash over me, to let go of the dis-ease, the trouble in my heart, and to know that God was with me and would be with me still. For some, I know that going to Holden has reconnecting. For others, it's been an incredible trip to Iona or the North Shore. For others, there are simple places in the garden. Kneeling down, planting that spring planting. For some, it's cuddling up with a cat or a dog. And knowing that there is that unconditional love right there. Jesus invites us into those rooms, not only into the ages of ages, but here. Saying God has prepared a dwelling place. A place in which you might richly know the holy. And you catch a glimpse of it today. And the glimpse can move you through the trouble and invite you to see the promise that is yet unfolding. As we journey the way, as we live the questions in seeking a truth that transcends, as we dwell in this life everlasting, then we dwell in the holy, now and into the ages of ages. And with that, we are able to pray, come. Come my way, my truth, my life. That life might be made